Running a home in the background of raising a family is no small task. And as a mom, I've learned through the years that I can either make this a lot harder on myself or a lot easier if I have the right habits in place. They provide the backbone to my domestic duties, if you will, and keep my home running smoothly without me getting too overwhelmed by it all, which is ultimately the greatest gift because it allows me to be more present in my main mission as a mom, which is raising up the souls that have been entrusted to my care. Now, if we want to just dive in and get real pragmatic from the start, let's talk about having a laundry system. Having a laundry system absolutely transformed my home because laundry, as we all know, can be one of those things that can be so stressful and be very overwhelming. And a few years ago, I was like, you know what? I want to basically have the least amount of thoughts about laundry and I want to spend the least amount of time on it. So this is what I do. Everyone in my house, except for the baby, has their own hamper. I still wash the baby's clothes with mine, but everybody has their own hamper and all laundry is washed separately. There is no mixing whatsoever. So everyone's clothes stay separate. All the bedding stays separate. I'm not throwing in towels with other random loads of laundry. And here's why. This eliminates the entire step of sorting. So there's no more staring at a mountain of laundry and having to sort through it. So this gets rid of an entire step and it's going to save you a lot of time and a lot of headache. And what we do is we try and stick to certain days a week for certain things. I feel like summer has been a little loosey-goosey around here and we've kind of fallen off like our very specific days. But even if we're not doing things on a specific day, it still gets done in a way that feels super efficient and like truly not a big deal. But ideally, I have like Monday, we do all the bedding in the house. We wash all the bedding, start to finish, get it back on. And then on Tuesday, I wash the girls' clothes. And my husband also helps with this task as well, which is very helpful. We kind of tag team it. But then on Wednesday, I will like wash my laundry and the baby's laundry. On Thursday, I will try and do all of the towels. Sometimes I don't get to it till Friday, but you see what I'm saying. Everything stays separate and everything has a day. So I'm not always monitoring hampers and deciding when I feel like I should wash it. I'm not worried about kids having clean clothes for the week because I have enough clothes for the week. Everything gets done in a timely manner on their day, and it makes it really easy. These days, taking care of my family and running my home is my top priority. But in order to do that and be able to do it well, it is very important that I also take care of myself. As a mom, I know just how easy and honestly like automatic it can be to put everyone else's needs before your own. But doing that is just going to burn you out. So I am always looking for the little things I can do during my day in my routine to just help me feel my best. And one of those things for me is staying on top of my supplements. And my favorite supplement, hands down, when it comes to electrolytes is Element. The main reason I love Element is that it has the electrolytes your body needs, but without any of the artificial colorings or ingredients or flavorings or sugar that you don't want. Electrolytes are used in so many different mechanisms throughout the body. For example, energy production, blood glucose control, DNA repair, muscle synthesis, adequate sleep, clearing waste out of your cells, and so many more. And the thing with electrolytes is they have to be continually replenished. So I love just how easy it is to just throw it in my water. It takes 2 seconds and it tastes really good, but again, it doesn't have any sugar in it. If there's a day that I don't drink Element, I really notice a difference. It just helps me to feel so much more like properly hydrated. I feel like I have more energy. I feel mentally sharper. My husband really loves it too. He's always drinking his Element every day. We're just big fans of Element around here. So right now, Element is offering you guys, my viewers, a free 8-count sample pack of their most popular drink mix flavors, free with any purchase. Just go to drinkelement.com/Becca Bristow to find your favorite flavor or share with a friend. That's drinklmnt.com/Becca Bristow. The next practical habit I have up my sleeve that has been transformational is the daily kitchen reset, but doing it midday. And I've shared this recently before, and I have shared my love of like a full kitchen reset on a pretty much daily basis. But I've recently been doing this midday and it has been the biggest game changer. So first, let me tell you why I do the kitchen reset. So the kitchen is where a lot of my work happens as far as making all the food for my family, but also it's literally where I work. Like this is majority of where I film my videos. So it's kind of also like my office. I live in this kitchen basically, and I'm not complaining about that. But if it is dirty and like getting a little cluttered and crusty, I feel like my nerves are raw. Like this is the one room in the house, and probably because I just spend so much time in it, that really gets to me quickly, and my calm vibe crumbles quick if the kitchen is like in disarray. But also the kitchen just gets dirtier faster than any other room in my house, and that's a combination of all the cooking, the eating, all the crumbs on the floor and on the table and all that. But also we have a door in our kitchen. If you have that in your kitchen, you know just how much dirt gets tracked in. It's the door that leads right to our backyard, which is, there's mud and dirt and chicken poop and, all of it. So it just gets so dirty in here. So what I do is I do a full reset, but I do it in the middle of the day. I used to try and do this at night after dinner. I think that's when most people try and do their kitchen reset. But I was just, for the longest time, I was just going along with that. But it wouldn't happen a lot of the time because the end of the day is kind of like a struggle time here in my house because I have little kids. And by the end of the day, they are tired. I am tired. There's, could be meltdowns happening, and it's just, we got to whisk the kids on up to bed, and, it doesn't get done. And I do not like to clean or work or do anything in my like 1 hour, maybe 90 minutes max at the end of the night, where I just get to relax with my husband and actually decompress before the next day starts all over again. So I do it in the middle of the day when I have the most energy, and it's absolutely life-changing. So the next thing I wanted to talk about, the next habit is being in a habit of planning meals. So recently, as in like over this summer, I have been experimenting with not doing traditional meal planning. If you guys have been following me, you know that I have always been a traditional meal planner, sit down, make a list, the whole nine. But this summer, I was like, you know what? I have a little bit more time. It's a little bit more relaxed. So I'm just going to try and cook with what I have and come up with meals more on the fly, which really tested me because I feel like I'm not that creative as far as meals go. And I don't like to like spread out that thought all throughout the week. I always have liked to just knock it out and then just, be able to be done thinking about that for the week. But it actually has been really nice. I feel like I have kind of gotten out of like some of the ruts because when I would be planning, I was just kind of like, all right, I need to just like get this done and move on to the next thing. I don't really want to be doing this because I don't really enjoy meal planning, but I do enjoy having the thought out of the way. So I would, just kind of like want to get it done really fast. And we just repeat a lot of the same meals, which is fine. But if you do start to get bored, it's not as fulfilling. It's not as delicious. So this summer, especially with like fresh produce and stuff, like we would have all of a sudden like a bunch of eggplants from the garden. I'm like, okay, what am I going to make with all this eggplant? Or we just had a ton of tomatoes coming in. So got to make, tomato soup from fresh tomatoes, which my daughter was very happy about because she loves tomato soup and has been waiting all summer for it. But I have been trying this and it's been really nice. I'm going to do a video kind of going more in depth on this soon. But the thought behind this habit is whether you are doing traditional meal planning or you are more just like stocking your pantry and cooking off what you have and you're in that kind of mindset, it's just having that habitual rotational thought around food. So maybe you sit down and you plan everything out for an entire week or an entire month, and then it's done. Or maybe you cook more on the fly, and every time you're making breakfast, you're kind of thinking, okay, what are we going to have for lunch? And when you're making lunch, you're like, okay, what are we going to have for dinner? It's just being in the habit of being ahead of it, I think is what really matters. And it doesn't really matter how you accomplish that, whether it's more traditional or more, casual. Either way, it'll get done, but it's just being in the habit of thinking ahead so that you never feel behind and get stressed and overwhelmed. And all of a sudden there's nothing to eat and you've got all these like hungry kids staring at you and you're just like, why is this my job? Why is it always my job? Because we can get there. And I can definitely say that I've gotten there. But the more you stay ahead of it, the easier it becomes. This next one is one that's not quite so practical, but one that has been so helpful. And that is creating space and time for rest in your day. I feel like for many years I operated under the assumption that, I've got small kids in the house and there's really no break in the day. So therefore there's really no break for me. Even with, the baby goes down for a nap and nobody else does. So it was always just like barrel through the day after day. But I've started to realize that like that's actually not true. Like we can actually, or I can carve out time for rest. Recently, one of my favorite ways to like live this out is with having a little bit of tea in the afternoon. I've been getting like really into tea, you guys. I found a tea shop near me, and you know, it's it's becoming a little bit of an obsession anyway. But I love just this idea of pausing in the day. Sometimes if I can like wrangle my kids actually into doing quiet time, I might like literally lay down and rest like while the baby's napping. But recently I've been loving this idea of tea in the afternoon. It's just a pause. It doesn't happen every day, but it's just a place where we can actually like take a deep breath, reset, not plan, not think, just literally rest. And I found that it makes my whole afternoon so much better. That rest of the day, instead of just being exhausted, but like continuing to go because I have no choice, it really helps recenter me. And it just truly makes everyone's lives a lot better, probably because I'm feeling more rested and more calm. Now, the next thing is also not practical, but it is a habit that is consistent for me, and that is finding ways to create beauty. And mainly this is just a creative outlet for me. One of the main ways I've been living this habit out recently is with gardening. I've been working on that front flower garden, and you know, it looks okay. It's certainly not living up to my Pinterest expectations, but I do have flowers growing, which I guess is a win for a first year of the garden. It's still very much a baby garden, and it's kind of limping along, but we're doing something. We've got flowers outside, and they do bring me joy. We also have the vegetable garden out back, and we have a marigold explosion out there, which was not intended, but apparently I bought giant marigolds, didn't read that on the seed packet, and then went on to plant way too many marigolds. So we have what my kids called a marigold jungle. But even though it's a little insane back there, all of those flowers have been bringing us so much joy because we've been picking them and bringing them inside. And I've just had these bright orange happy marigolds on my kitchen counter basically all summer long, still kind of now moving into this early, not quite fall, but fall season. And for me, I just really need that creative outlet, whether it's projects around my house, whether it's gardening, anything that allows me to kind of flex that creative muscle. It's just another thing that kind of grounds me. It makes me feel, it brings me joy. It makes me feel calm, which helps center me to continue on this path of, raising our family and raising up these sweet little souls. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.